Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Super real.
Hey, I'm Julian Morgans, and you're listening to What It Was Like, the show that asks people who have lived through big, dramatic events what it was like. So there's a trope that we see in movies all the time that just doesn't exist in real life. Well, not really. And that's the idea that bitter rivals can become best friends. Think about it. This is the dynamic between Buzz and Woody in Toy Story. It's the dynamic between Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham in The Fast and Furious. It's Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly in Step Brothers. And don't even get me started on rivals who become lovers in movies. So I've wanted to find a real-life example of this dynamic to explore on the show. But honestly, it's been hard because it just doesn't happen very often in real life. But then I remembered this story, the story that we're going to hear today. Today's story is about a prank. Fraser Harvey, he worked in the Melbourne CBD right near a woman named Harriett Noall. Neither of them knew each other, but they ended up in this game of one-upmanship. And it got pretty intense. I won't give away the details here in the intro, that'll spoil the show, but just know this. It was a big internet story here in Melbourne back a couple of years ago, so some of you might remember this. But the important thing is that I finally get to ask my question. How does it feel to start out as rivals and end up as friends? Like, really? Because I do think that this is a good story for the times. Partisan politics, it's all the rage, so instead of doing a story about rivals in politics or rivals in some kind of culture war, this is a story about rivals in a joke that went just way too far. And here's the man who started it all, Fraser Harvey. Hey Fraser, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well.
Good. Do you want to give us a quick introduction, basic stuff, like where you work, how old you are, just that sort of stuff?
I'm 38. I'm in Melbourne. I work in art auctions.
Art auctions? That's cool. You're selling culture to the people.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So take me back to 2019. How did you become such a frequent customer at this one cafe?
It was the cafe closest to my workplace. I sort of got to know the staff, and shout out to Chelsea and Rose, who I would chat to quite a bit.
And it's a pretty standard sort of Melbourne cafe, I'm imagining. Bit of a slot.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's in a kind of a laneway, which is what could be more Melbourne.
What's it called?
Sensory Lab. I think it's still there.
Cool. Okay.
So, yeah, I was chatting to Chelsea and Rose, and I was buying a lot of coffees. And I was like, why am I not getting every 10th coffee free, like everywhere else? And they were like, I don't know. So I said, look, I'm going to invent a customer loyalty program for you. Which kind of doesn't make sense, because I went and just made a poster making myself customer of the week, which doesn't really achieve anything.
That's a different thing to a customer loyalty program.
Yeah.
Customer of the week doesn't exist.
Yeah, but imagine if it did. People would be going berserk for it.
Yeah.
So I made myself customer of the week. I took a photo of myself. I turned it into an A4 poster. I took it round to the cafe and I asked them to put it up, which they did willingly.
So I'm imagining a photo of you, and it just says "Customer of the Week," and it's an A4 sheet of paper stuck on the wall.
Something like that, yeah. I think it was just, it had my picture and then Sensory Lab Customer of the Week.
Okay. And they gave you a coffee?
I still paid.
Great.
Yeah. I still paid. Yeah. They weren't convinced at this point. So I have my coffee and I toddle off back to the office. And I'm satisfied that I've amused myself, and that's all I sort of set out to do.
Okay.
A few hours later, and I'm feeling like another coffee. So I go back to said cafe, and I sort of noticed that above my poster there was another poster, and it featured some unknown person, but also framed. Same size, just framed. Looked a lot nicer, well presented. Really pissed me off.
What did it say? Like, what was in the photo?
It was some local worker with sort of short ginger hair, looking very stern and serious, saying that they were the customer of the week. They'd basically recreated the poster, which is, you know, that's very derivative. So I was not impressed. So at this point, I went back to the office and I decided I would print something in A3.
So this other poster was A4. So you guys...
These were all A4, you know.
Okay, at this point, it's all A4.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's a good starting point. A4 is a great starting point.
Yeah, that's true.
As
you don't
I
want to start
always
with
say.
A1.
No, fuck it. What kind of psychopath starts with A1?
All right, so before we do that, Harriett, welcome to the show.
Hey, Julian. Thanks for having me.
So you're the one who's kind of started the game. Like, at this point, it's just Fraser with some sort of like eccentric poster that he's put up. You're kind of the one who's gamified it. So can you just give me your backstory here?
My backstory is that I worked in the building above the cafe, and I was planning on moving to London, and that was my last week in my job there. So I was obviously using my time really wisely.
Yeah, you'd thrown in the towel.
Yeah, and similar to Fraser, I drank a lot of coffee. I walked in and saw this joker, and he had clearly printed out a pretty, I would say, low quality, low resolution picture of himself, and nominated himself Customer of the Week. And I thought, that is absolutely not on, because I reckon I drank more coffee than anyone in at least a 3-block radius from this coffee shop. So clearly I should be the Customer of the Week. And so I went back upstairs and printed off my corporate headshot, and I popped out one of our company like awards and used the frame from that, took it back downstairs, gladly presented it to Chelsea, and she said, oh no.
She kind of knew. Like, she detected that, like, oh, this is going to be a thing. This is going to be a goddamn thing in my shop.
Yeah, a big thing in my shop.
Okay, all right. So back to you, Fraser. So you see Harriett's poster. What do you do?
So I stormed back to the office, and I thought, I work in the art field, so I can do better in the frame department. So I went back and went into our storeroom, and I picked out a frame from a expensive Albert Tucker work. And then this is a very large gold gilded frame. It's a very impressive frame. And I printed out the A3 poster, and then I very crudely framed it in this frame. Mostly because the frame was slightly too big for the A3 piece. But I was like, Harriett's gone to the trouble of getting a frame. So no matter what, I just need to out-frame her. Really.
For you, it was all about the frame.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like,
Okay.
Well, the poster's fantastic already. Let's not change that. It's great. let's just put it in a more impressive frame.
Yep.
And case closed. It's all over. I win. Bam.
Okay.
Done. Dunzo. So I stroll back to my office feeling pretty confident.
Okay, so back at the coffee shop, what I'm imagining now is that we've got 3 posters on the wall, or just 2? You took the original one out?
No, I had them take the 2 posters off the wall and put my large one over to the side because it was too big to fit on that wall. So it had to rest over on the side against some glass behind the counter, which is fantastic because that's,
Yeah, that's like the VIP, sort of like behind the velvet.
Well,
rope
that's
kind
what
of area.
you'd expect for like the number one customer, you know.
Yeah. So, Harriet, you come back to find this gilded monstrosity. How do you feel?
I really thought that it was just going to be all over, like with my framed one. I thought it was just going to be a cheeky little thing that I did. You know, I walked back to my office and I was like, haha, like this will be funny. I really did not expect him to come back with the gilded monstrosity. So obviously I went down later in the day and I was like, oh my God.
So this is all playing out on the same day. Like you guys are, you guys are highly caffeinated people.
Which is probably like why this happened. Actually, caffeine definitely has a part to play in this. So obviously, I go back down and I see this ridiculous gold grandiose frame, and I think, oh my God, that's annoyingly brilliant. I don't know how I'm going to one up this. So I get my coffee, I go back upstairs and I sit down and have a think, how can I make this bigger? And I look over and we have this like portable projector. So I made just like a
Harriet.
PowerPoint of my face and put it on a little USB, took it back downstairs and set it up on like one of the booths and projected my face up against the wall. It was huge. Like it probably was like 2 or 3 meters by 2 meters or something.
The whole back wall of
Took
the
a few
cafe.
pictures of it, and it was huge.
And the cafe owners were still on board with this. They were like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
There's no like talking them into it, or they didn't ask for money.
I don't think the owners were aware at this point. I think it's really just Chelsea and Rose who were working there, who were aware of it. Yeah.
Okay. And like other people are coming to the shop, right? This is not just a sort of one-upmanship in a private area. What was the customers? Do you see some responses from customers?
There was a lot of raised eyebrows bordering on concern. But, you know, everyone was just having a laugh at this point. But I guess what I didn't know was that Fraser had been live tweeting what was happening. And Chelsea sent me a link.
Back
like,
when
later
Twitter
in the day,
was acceptable. I want to put that into...
So yeah, Chelsea showed me that like Fraser had been kind of putting it all online. And I think that's kind of when it blew up. I knew that I couldn't just let it lie then because this was, you know, being shown to the wider public.
And Harriet, what did you see when you looked at the Twitter? Was there like lots of retweets and comments? Like, was it going pretty well?
Yeah, it weirdly was. People were just like, this is the height of Melbourne cafe ridiculousness.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was a hell of a time to be alive. You know, 2019 was before COVID, so that sort of like soy flat white culture was just booming.
Yeah.
And I was there, baby.
Totally.
I lived it. God, I lived it, baby.
You sound like someone who was in like Paris in the 20s or like
or someone
San Francisco in
or
the
like
60s.
a member of Steely Dan or something.
That's right. Okay. All right. So Fraser, tell me about when you visited to find this projector.
So I come along and, just to sort of wrap things up with the cafe that day, just sort of popped in, I think it must have been, 3:45 or somewhere around then. just for a little nightcap, soy flat white. And then I see this fucking face on the back of the cafe, and I was none too impressed, let me tell you.
Was there any font? Like, was there any wording on this thing, or just
Well,
Harriet's
no,
big
it was
head?
Harry. It's the same fucking poster, just projected.
Yeah, I didn't get any more creative with that.
Yeah.
I'm an Arial font kind of gal.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was the same thing, just blown up. Yeah, so it was. It was a shock.
Were you telling sort of friends and family about this as well, Fraser? Were you like, guys?
No,
this crazy
I
thing
mean,
is happening?
I had friends on Twitter who
Yeah.
had seen it, but not really. No, not that day. I hadn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't really mentioned anything to anyone because it was all sort of happening online, and that was enough.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, all right. So I mean, you when you saw the head, were you impressed? Were you were feeling really competitive at this point?
I was sickened, Julian. I was sickened. I was appalled. Okay. I would not expect that. First of all, Chelsea and Rose would tolerate such a disrespectful move, but turns out they do rely on more than one customer. So I had no say in the matter. So yeah, I was appalled, and I went home steaming,
Okay.
furious.
And plotting, I imagine.
Yes. Oh, I was plotting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very confused. I was very confused by 5 p.m. But by 6 p.m., I was feeling less confused. And by 7 p.m., I had an idea.
We're going to take an ad break here, but you should stick around because we're going to be finding out how Fraser retaliated and how this joke took on a life of its own online.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
So I decided that I would get some uniforms made for the staff. Because
Okay.
a number one customer is honored in a myriad of ways. And, it's the staff celebrating their appreciation and et cetera and whatnot. So I got on to like a website that does sort of like 24-hour printing. I got some t-shirts made. I got some cards made. And this is where I finally came through on the customer loyalty program. Because I got some cards made that were the Fraser Harvey Memorial Loyalty Program. And you would get... I'd get a free coffee with every 10 that you purchase.
Okay, sure. Okay,
which is a fucking sweet deal for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I plonked a good sort of 250 of those on the front desk. I gave them another 250 because those were going to run out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I provided all the staff with T-shirts that had my picture on the front that said Sensory Lab welcomes #1 customer Fraser Harvey.
Okay, beautiful.
Which is a beautiful tribute from the staff, and I just want to thank them for that.
Yeah, it's so nice of them. And was this sort of like, this is printed over like the breast, sort of like right top left-hand corner over your heart? That's sort of the design?
Not much thought was put into, like, not that much thought was put into it. So, well, it was just sort of at the top. It was like a beautiful sort of cursive Sensory Lab welcomes.
Nice.
And then in block letters, #1 customer, because you really want to, that's the point you want to drive home.
Yeah.
#1 customer, Fraser Harvey, picture, and then I think I had something on the back as well. Just like another Sensory Lab welcomes Fraser Harvey. Like a beautiful,
Okay. So when you went in the next day to hand these things out, what was the response?
They were thrilled.
Okay, good.
It was the best thing that's ever happened to them in their lives. You could tell. They were like, this is great. This is like every Christmas rolled into one. So, yeah, who wouldn't love being forced to put on a uniform to play a part in a stupid rivalry between two people that determines absolutely nothing. It's, you know.
Yeah. The meaninglessness of this whole thing is just gorgeous. Like, it's
well, that's
somehow poetic.
Yeah. Well, that's why it was good.
That's it.
That's why I love meaningless shit. I spent $400 putting together fucking uniforms for a joke, and it was stupid. But I don't know. That's a well spent $350. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I'd just like to highlight that you guys don't know each other at all. You know, like,
no,
you got no idea. You got no idea who you.
We've not met
direct
at this
competitors.
point. We've not met. So I don't know who this is.
Okay,
and that's
So Harriett, I mean, if you had to guess at this point who Fraser was, just based on his face and his font choices, like, did you have any theories about who this guy was?
Not really. He was pretty insignificant in the context of things.
Yeah.
I had seen him once before, actually.
Oh, really?
Because I nearly ran him over on my bike on the way to work.
Of course, because you're working on the same sort of city block, so you just,
Yeah, seen him about, nearly killed him.
Yeah.
One time, accidentally.
So when you saw the photo, you were like, oh, there's that guy that I nearly ran over on my bike like several months ago. Okay.
Wish I'd finished him off, but alas.
And Fraser, did you have any ideas about who Harriett was?
No idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just really liked that someone was sort of bouncing back with a equally stupid sort of, sense of humor or something. Yeah.
Yep. Harriett, what did you like about this?
I love a good rivalry. Also, I wasn't doing a lot of work at this point, if I'm being completely honest. I think all of my colleagues were wishing that I would just stop with whatever the shenanigan was and do some fucking work. But alas, I didn't. Yeah, I just kept on keeping on.
Had it become like hot goss at your office? Like when you were going back, was everyone like, "Oh, what have you done now?"
Yeah, it kind of had. It really divided opinion. There were the camp of people that just wish I would get on with my job, and then there were the other ones that were like, "This is ridiculousness. I love it."
Yeah. I'd have been in that camp. I'd have been like, put down everything you're doing right now. This is on what I want you to focus on this week.
Everyone stop what you're doing. Yeah, it really divides opinion whenever I tell people this story. They either think that I should be hospitalized or that it's really funny.
Same.
Genuine question. Like, the people who don't like it, what's their argument?
It's insane, and why would you?
Yeah.
Why do you care? Why did you engage? That seems really silly. And ironically, my wife was one of those people. She was like, this is a really weird thing that you're telling me that you did.
So were you with her at the time?
No. I met her in London a few years later.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember early days when I was dating in London. It would, really divide opinion.
Okay. As in, like, you'd go out on a first date and you'd be trying to get to know the person sitting across from you, and they'd be like, I don't know, tell me about yourself. And you were like, well, there's this thing I did like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Also, not
absolutely.
like, don't forget, in England, it was printed in like all of the Metro publications. It was printed in The Guardian. It was like, it stupidly, I had friends in the UK who were like, what the fuck? This is everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I
imagine,
first weekend I was...
I imagine Harriett probably copped, a lot of like, yeah.
Yeah. The first weekend that I was in the UK, I went to the pub with like a friend of a friend, as you do when you move to a new city and you're making friends.
Yeah.
And one of his friends was like, you look really familiar.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, pretty new to the city. She was like, oh my God, hang on. Is this you? And like pulled up the article on her phone. I was like, oh shit, this has really followed me.
Wow. That must have felt kind of good, though. It's nice to be recognised for your work overseas.
Yeah, for my tireless work. Yeah, I didn't think that it would kind of make it that far. I just kind of thought that it would be a funny thing that I did and then left in Australia.
Yeah.
But no.
So when you came to your favourite coffee shop and you found all of the staff wearing Fraser's face, what did you feel?
I still remember it very clearly, walking in, and they're all in white t-shirts with Fraser's face just staring back at me.
That must have been good.
And I just walk in and I think, oh, motherfucker. Because I really thought that I'd done it with the projector. I really thought that like this had been put to bed. And then I realised that I simply could not let this lie. And that I am going to have to work out something even more ridiculous to do.
Yeah. Did I mean, you must have had some sort of begrudging respect for Fraser at this point.
Yeah. Begrudging is definitely the term I'd use. I just thought, Jesus Christ, this printing must have cost so much money.
Yeah.
It had been rush ordered, obviously. And I remember like walking into the cafe, seeing the t-shirts, and then walking up to order my coffee, and Chelsea says, would you like a loyalty card? And I said, oh my God, what is this? What is this? And I've still got that loyalty card. I've got it in a drawer downstairs. Yeah.
I don't have any copies of it. I don't have anything.
Well, you can't have mine. Get your own.
Fuck.
And did Chelsea say this with a smirk? You know, were the other staff were really loving it? Absolutely
beaming.
I can imagine.
Yeah, she knew I wouldn't let it lie though. Like, I will not be losing at this point. I'm too invested.
So walk me through that next hour. How does that unfold for you?
So I take my coffee back upstairs. I sit at my desk, and I think, within the limits of my finances, because I've been saving to move overseas, how do I one up this? Like, a few things cross my mind, like, could I pay a local artist to paint a mural on the side of the building? Wow, thought that might take longer than a week. I looked into getting skywriting done.
Nice.
Like, with an airplane. Really expensive.
How much is that? Just off the top of your head?
A lot more than I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 10 grand or something. So that one got put in the bin pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
And yeah, I thought about like hiring like a band to play out the front just to sing my praises.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of things went through my mind.
Were you fielding suggestions from friends and colleagues?
I was, yeah. None of them good.
No.
I don't know.
Anything pop in? Do you remember anything you're like, absolutely not? That's weird, or like any memorable ones?
To be fair, the skywriting was a friend's suggestion. Yeah, it just it got so ridiculous, and I literally had to leave the city by the end of the week. So I was like, okay, I've really got something that's efficient. And I was talking to Chelsea, and I was like, she's like covered in tattoos. I was like, would it be ridiculous if I got a like takeaway sensory lab coffee cup tattooed on me? She was like, yeah, that would be, but it would also be really good. You should probably do that. And so I was like, oh, do you know any tattoo artists that would just squeeze me in tomorrow morning? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. My friend Miles would happily facilitate this ridiculousness. So
God.
basically, yeah, I
Did you have any
the next morning off?
Well, hold on.
book
Do
in
you
Okay.
have any tattoos at this point, or are you new to the world of tattoos?
No, I've got a few at this point.
Okay, all right. So it's not like a crazy thing out of left field. Like you just, you're a blank canvas, and you're like, I'm gonna deface this like clean skinned body for for the sake of this thing.
Yeah, no. No, I've got some pretty terrible tattoos already. So
Okay,
at this point,
right.
it was it was you couldn't ruin it much more. But I like to think actually it's not a bad tattoo. So I got a picture of the like coffee cup and took that in, and
It's kind
marked a sketch
of
and-
tattoo like a fan of like a coffee shop would get. It's like
Yeah,
it's
if
like,
you could just imagine
if you're
that.
a huge fan of a coffee shop, and that's great, but that's such a transient title. But number one customer. It's like it's like
Real ones.
yeah,
Real
it's
ones,
like
no.
it's like the staff would be wearing my fate, my
Fraser,
so
I love the way
anyway,
you're still hanging on to this.
yeah. So I mean, it's it was a great.
Well, I mean, set it up, Harriet. So how do you reveal this tattoo? How do you get the tattoo, and how do you reveal it?
So it's on my ribs, and it's probably like 10 centimeters tall.
Yeah.
How much did they pay you for that, by the way?
They did not pay me, tragically. The tattoo was free because I guess this was blowing up a bit, so that was very kind of Miles. But it was really, really painful because it is on the ribs. So I was kind of like lying on my side in this tattoo shop, like trying to be really brave, but also crying into the table as this happened, thinking, "Oh, was this too far?" And then I finished up, and I looked at it, and I was like, "No, that's absolutely excellent. This is perfect."
Yeah. So like you got this at a tattoo shop. You didn't get this done at the cafe. So like how were you going to like announce this to Fraser?
So Miles took a picture of it when it was freshly done and put it up on his like company Instagram, and then I put that same picture up on an Instagram story of my own. And I was like, "Do I win yet?" That was just the caption.
Nice.
So
Tag Fraser in it. Yeah.
So just before this, though, a Guardian article had sort of come out. So it was starting to go a bit stupid, like the whole... Certainly on Twitter, like it was getting stupid. And then I think Harriett... Did you do a... Because I did an interview with The Guardian, and then I think you did one with The Age, or...
Yeah, the age after the tattoo.
Yeah, which revealed the tattoo. That was like the expose of the tattoo. So
yeah, they came over to my house with a photographer and were taking pictures of my very fresh and pretty disgusting tattoo.
Pretty raw, pretty red.
It still had the sleeve over it, and it was like a bit
Nice.
like gunky, and I was like,
good.
oh god, I'm in the news and I'm showing them this. That's disgusting.
Okay, so like, how did you feel when you saw this tattoo online?
Yeah, I was like, great. That's obviously fans get tattoos of things all the time, and that's it's cool. It's a great step. I was looking towards the future, Julian. I was looking towards the future.
What does that mean?
I don't know. No, to be honest, at this point, I was starting to freak out because I'd used the frame of a $100,000 painting on a stupid joke, and now it's going everywhere. And I was like, oh god, this is blowing up in my face. I just wanted to do something stupid, and this is blowing up in my face. And then I'm getting...
So you're worried that your boss was going to...
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I'm getting fired on Monday. It's happening.
Did your boss ever find out about the frame?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I still don't know to this day. They never brought it up. But
Nice.
on Monday, I had our clients calling me up going, so where we at? What's happening? What's going on? Like, give me an update. What's the next move?
Oh, okay, right. So you had your clients invested.
I had people who were, major clients of the company who had seen it in the paper and were calling me up. All weekend I got a producer from the Today Show, someone from Sunrise, all these people wanting me to go on Monday. And I was like, I mean, first of all, breakfast TV is where jokes go to die, so absolutely not. But it was just freaking me out at like how wide it was going.
This was your first taste of virality. You know, you'd never been in like a boy band or something before.
No, absolutely not. And I was. Again, this was just a stupid thing I was doing to amuse myself. This isn't like, and as it was for Harriett, it was just a stupid thing to occupy a bit of time. And like my sister at the time quote tweeted me, and then that was published on Fox News. And like...
who famously don't know how to take a joke.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Right. Exactly. And they covered it very seriously. I think they were concerned there was going to be
I remember seeing
a murder
titles
at
being
the end
like
of it.
insane people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like insane people from Melbourne do stupid thing. Like, that's us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my sister, wrote to my parents and said, "Aren't you proud that both of your children have been on Fox News now? It's you got to be happy with that."
Yeah. You've made it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you were feeling a bit intimidated. You didn't. You felt like you lost control.
I didn't like it. Yeah. Exactly. It was sort of. It felt uncomfortable. Like people were very much probing as to what the next move is, all that sort of stuff, and it's like, well, that the fun's kind of gone there, where you're like. Just sort of being
when people start taking it seriously.
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
Like,
it's
all
like,
the fun kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
like as soon as you get offers to go like Sunrise. Like,
yeah,
no. Yeah. That's not for me.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like this is just. It was just like this is just a stupid thing.
So what did you do next?
You pussied out.
I pussied out. I just pussied out.
That's all right.
No, I think we actually met on the Monday or the Tuesday after that weekend.
So
we
how
met
did you
in the
meet?
cafe. I was just in there for a coffee, and I think Harriet was in there in the morning.
So this was accidental. You didn't even set this up.
No, we didn't set it up. But the owner of the cafe was, I think, happy with the amount of publicity that the cafe had gotten.
Oh, seriously?
So
You'd be thrilled.
yeah, so he said, "Look, we'll give you guys a lunch to get. We'll pay for lunch." So later that week, Harriet and I went out to lunch on a Friday afternoon and spent a lot of their money.
It was good fun.
It was good.
We just ate a lot
Yeah.
and then drank a lot, and it was lunchtime, and I had to go back to the office, and we'd downed like 2 bottles of wine and
then
like,
cocktails.
a couple of
afterwards.
drams
Yeah.
of whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh, so they paid for a proper lunch. Like you guys
Yeah.
went out and you got wined and dined. This wasn't like, hey,
Yeah,
we'll give you
yeah.
some banana bread at the cafe.
No,
This is
absolutely
No.
not.
Real lunch.
They
Sal put
certainly-
his credit card on the bar.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we were just kind of taking the piss at this point. I was like, how much did that come to? And I think it was like, I don't know, like $500 or $600. And I was like, well, can you give all the staff a 50% tip and just put that on the card as well?
Nice.
That was a
So
nice
I-
addition.
So the big question I really got to ask then is, because you guys started as strangers and you end with this all expenses paid lunch.
Yeah.
At the point where you're sort of like looking at each other across a table and you got to make conversation, you know, did you discover that you have things in common, or was it a bit like a bit of a fizzle? I mean, how did like, it was, you know, the start of a friendship? How did that go?
No, I think we got on really well. I think I mean, the whole thing is a stupid thing. So, I mean, I think to even get involved in this kind of thing displays that someone probably doesn't take themselves too seriously, which is what I like in friends. And so yeah, I mean, the first meeting, we had a fun lunch. We just sort of talked shit and ordered well, and it was great. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember us both just walking in and being like, wow, that really escalated.
Yeah. I think we were still shell-shocked at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did the sort of the jokiness continue through lunch, or did you guys actually have some serious conversation as well?
Well, I think we talked about a lot of things. I think we just, it wasn't like a rivalry lunch. We just sort of sat down and chatted about stuff and how stupid the whole situation was, and you know, just kind of introduced ourselves and just spoke about our lives and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. I think when I saw this story, I was like, oh, this is the classic story of like rivals becoming friends. You know, this is like, I mean, you know, there's no sort of romance, but like, it's like, you've got mail or something, like arch enemies become friends. Like it's got that sort of template to it. But then it sounds like it started as a joke and finished as a joke. Just the difference is that you kind of knew each other more.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the weird part came when we were sent a PDF of a book that someone had written.
Oh, I forgot about that. Holy shit.
What? Tell me about that. What's that?
It was titled Must Love Coffee, and it was a kind of like chick lit, like meet cute kind of
Oh, I forgot
book.
about that.
And it was a bit smutty. It was.
Well, like
Remember reading
Yeah,
it? Like,
someone. Yeah, it was like horny
fan fiction of-
fan fiction
Yeah.
of a cafe.
whatever this was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that, Harriet. Jesus, you need to send me
Yeah.
that again, please.
I don't suppose you could just like really quickly dig it out and read us a couple of stanzas.
Yeah, I think I've actually got it.
It was
Hang
one
on,
of
let
the
me-
worst
let me have a
things
dig.
you've ever heard. It was so good.
Oh yeah, I was called Cassidy in the book. No.
Cassidy.
Daniel and Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking Daniel either.
Yeah.
Wrong energy. Wrong energy.
Oh my god, hang on. There's a good bit here. His phone pinged with a text as he finished speaking, then Julie's phone pinged almost immediately afterward. They both automatically glanced at their screens. Daniel's text was a message from Pete. "Fuck, have you seen this?" Attached was an image from someone's Instagram feed, a shot of a woman's shoulder blade with an image of a Cup Diem coffee tattooed on it. "You've got to be kidding," Julie said, and Daniel knew that she'd already been alerted to the same post. "Is that real?" Daniel asked, blown away. Julie peered at her phone screen. "It looks like it's still bleeding. Jesus, that's hardcore."
Fucking hell.
I mean, it's fan fiction, but it's also sort of fan non-fiction. Like, she's captured elements of reality here.
Yep.
I've really just got one or two last questions here. So first of all, I want to know, like, do you guys still catch up? Like, what are the sort of contours of your relationship these days?
Well, obviously Harriett lives in Manchester now, and I'm in Melbourne still. But yeah, I mean, like we said at the start, it's we follow each other on Instagram and just sort of shit talk on there occasionally, which is I don't know. That's
which is nice.
Yeah, I think it's a fun.
To be fair, I'll be back in April. We should go and grab a drink.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great.
Get a coffee.
Cool. We should.
Remember that now.
Yeah.
Onto something harder.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll start some sort of martini rivalry somewhere.
Yeah.
Ooh, I could get on board with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart, actually. Yeah, it's very strategic. Okay, all right. So on the one hand, this is all very jokey and ridiculous, but there is some kernel of something. For me, the most genuinely weird thing about this is the way that it took off. You know, it took on a life of its own. You guys got sort of swept up in the sort of, I don't know, the machine took over. What did you guys learn about that?
I am scared that any potential employers will Google me. Is an outcome of that. And then, like, clients from the workplace have sometimes... Remember, I went to a site visit for a planning application when I was still living in London, and the guy who met me there was like, "Oh, I Googled you." Yeah, and he'd kind of, like, read up on me and all of this stuff, and I was like, oh, God, it is weird to have any presence online. It did give me, like, a bit of ick.
Absolutely.
I'm quite private as well. I don't put a lot of personal stuff online. So it was very weird, sort of being bombarded, and I don't know, people being aware of you. That was very uncomfortable on that weekend. That sort of after it, I was like, I just want to crawl into a hole and die.
I was pretty similar.
Yeah.
Like, waking up one morning to, like, 100 new Instagram friend requests, and I was like, ew, no, I don't know any of you. That's weird.
Yeah, you had a little taste of fame. Just to like imagine if you were properly famous. Like, imagine if you woke up one morning and you were just accidentally Justin Bieber.
That
like,
must
you'd
be
have
awful.
That 10x.
That must be awful. Like, it must be the worst thing in the world. I don't know.
I think it seems to me that if this had been orchestrated by some sort of, like, guerrilla marketing company that have been so thrilled with their outcome, like, it seems to me that you can't engineer this.
That's exactly when you were like, what were you going to say? That's the point I was going to make. Sorry, is that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is like a marketing stunt." Like, there were heaps of people saying that, and
and saying that my tattoo wasn't real.
It was bizarre.
This is not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
totally. All the coffee shop truthers just come out of the woodwork.
So I found that really strange, because it's like, why would you? It's so stupid. It's not I don't know why would you be that cynical? But I spent like $400 for nothing. But it brought me joy.
You got a free lunch. Despite the age-old saying, and
I keep
no such thing
forgetting.
as a free lunch,
It
you've
was
got a
good
free
lunch.
lunch.
Yeah, it was a free lunch.
Yeah.
And we did, anything we invested, I think we got it back, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe that's the meaning. The moral of the story is...
I will do a lot more for a nice free lunch.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I'll do crazy shit for a free lunch. So maybe that's the takeaway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Harriett and Fraser, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing this story. There's something about this that will just stay funny forever, I think. So thanks.
Stupidity endures. Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Today's episode was produced by Rachel Tuffery. It was mixed by Jimmy Saunders, who also did our theme music. Daniela Cantu and Chloe Stelling are our interns. Our cover art is by Naomi Lee Beveridge, and this whole thing has been a Super Ill production.